And welcome into another edition of Dashtown, a podcast about the businesses built by and for the people of Fuquay-Varina. With me today, I have Jason Rewerts of Chicago J Hotdogs. Jason, welcome in.
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, not too much. And full disclosure here, Jason's business in Chicago J Hotdogs is the first business that I've featured here on Dashtown that I have actually been a patron of. And Jason, I have to say your hot dogs are pretty tasty.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you do a great job. You've got a hot dog stand. You're mobile, portable, go around usually to different businesses. And I have to imagine during this time with the COVID and quarantine and shutdown, it's been a challenge for your business.
Oh, it's been an extreme challenge. I went 8 weeks without working. And during that time, had to implement online ordering and contactless payments and trying to just, do the social distancing guidelines and stuff like that. So it's been a big challenge. Most of my events are at breweries, or I had school festivals lined up, or Easter egg hunts with the town of Fuquay and Holly Springs. And, all of those events got canceled, postponed. And, so I went from having over 40 events scheduled to a blank calendar in about 8 days.
Yeah. Have you had any activity during this time? Have you been able to maintain some amount of business?
Minimal. A lot of it was, I've got two little ones at the house. They're second and third grade. So once they started doing online schooling and stuff like that, I've been spending more time at home, kind of facilitating that and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So my lunch business has been zero. And then I've had a couple breweries who have asked me to come over, and we've had to market the events properly because they're only doing carry-out orders now. And, they don't have 70 people sitting inside enjoying beverages and entertainment. So we're doing carry-out business and stuff like that. So I've only worked, I think, one event in 8 weeks.
It's been a tough time, I think, for everyone. Let's come back and talk a little bit more about the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and quarantine in just a few minutes. But give us a little background on your business, if you would. You haven't been around forever and ever here, relatively new business. Mm-hmm. What motivated you to get started, and what was that process like?
Well, it was much more involved than anticipated. You think a little hot dog cart is just buy a cart and set it up on the street corner somewhere, and it's not like that at all. They treat you just like a restaurant, so you have to submit your permit with the health department, set up an inspection date. They have to approve your menu, and your menu needs to be within the guidelines of what the county and state has set up for you. So it's much more involved. The initial challenges were a lot more than I had anticipated, but the original motivation was I went to a business school and knew that I wanted to operate and run my own business. I managed restaurants for many years, and I enjoyed it and was told that I did it well. So when I started doing research about opening a restaurant, the secret to success is to minimize your overhead and to have a physical brick and mortar location straight out of the gate when you're paying rent and high utilities and gas bills and all of that. It's almost a recipe for failure, unless you've got a lot of capital going into it to back yourself up. Your first 2 or 3 years as a physical location, you're not going to turn any profits until you're well into it. So
now, is that the dream one day? Do you hope and aspire to have a physical location, or is the cart doing pretty well for you and you're enjoying the freedom and mobility?
All of the above.
Fair enough.
As far as the freedom, the mobility, and keeping things simple, as far as, only having myself or another employee who can to do those things, and to not worry about mass inventory on a large scale. And, once you have a brick and mortar and you've got 60 employees working for you, that's a different beast of stress. And that's one of the reasons why I got out of the restaurant industry, was just the amount of stress and the extreme demand in hours. I mean, you're generally open from 11 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. So could there be Chicago J's brick and mortar restaurants all over the place and several people running them for me? Perhaps. But right now, keeping it simple, keeping my stress level low, I'm really enjoying the cart. And, considering I'm just having fun with it, getting out there, talking to people, and all the visitors that come by and the regular customer base. You get to know the people directly, and they hunt you down and follow you around town. And it also gives me an opportunity to travel around to other areas, rather than people having to drive to find me at one location. One day I'm in North Raleigh and I'm hitting that market, and then next week I could be out in Durham. And so it's also a way to market your name and build your brand before you take the huge leap of having a physical location. So is it on the radar? Yeah, someday. Is it on the radar in the next 2 years? I'm not going to push it. I'm comfortable doing what we're doing right now. It's working just fine.
Fair enough. But and I'm not sure that people fully realize this. Maybe with the food truck television shows, it may be more well known. But with a mobile food service like you have, a hot dog cart like Chicago J's Hot Dogs, you have to go through the same kind of sanitation grading requirements, all of those same requirements of a brick and mortar restaurant. Is still applicable to the food service that you offer.
Yes. Yep. I have to post my schedule online. If we don't post our schedules online, we actually have to send our schedule to the local health inspector so that they can do a surprise on the spot visit. But he shows up just like walking into a restaurant unannounced, and he checks your temperatures and checks your cleanliness, and you get a food rating. Like when you walk into a restaurant and you see a little picture frame that says, 96, and it's a grade A rating, they do the same thing with me. He shows up once every 3 or 4 months and checks everything out and gives me a sanitation rating. And it's very involved. I think it's a good thing to ensure public safety. You can't have some guy just standing on the street corner slinging any type of hot dogs and any type of meat. And, it's good to keep people healthy, and the systems are in place. And I appreciate that the state of North Carolina and Wake County do such a good job with that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I believe that people appreciate that as well. It's definitely important, but equally important is that the food tastes good.
Right.
I've had your hot dogs. It's not the traditional ballpark style hot dogs, at least not all of them. You do offer that, of course, but you've got kind of some unique hot dogs. The Chicago style may not be the traditional hot dog with ketchup and mustard that a lot of people think about.
Correct. Myself being born and raised about an hour from Chicago, I originally moved down here for a job in 2005, and Chicago's got a lot of great food. And moving down here, some of the food was a struggle back in 2005. Now we've got the food industry is really ramping up. You've got specialized chefs doing other food trucks and stuff like that. But I couldn't find a good Chicago dog anywhere the first 7 or 8 years that I lived in North Carolina.
What is a Chicago dog? Tell us that.
So the meat itself is a Vienna beef hot dog. Vienna Beef is a Chicago-based company, and 100% beef. And they put a natural skin casing on it, so when you bite into it, it's got a little bit of a snap and a little bit of crunch to it. So the meat itself is unique. And then you've got a poppy seed bun, a fresh tomato wedge, some mustard, Chicago relish, which is a bright green relish, and it's not nearly as sweet as what we're accustomed to with sweet relish. Onions, and then you finish it off with a hot sport pepper and some celery salt. And it's called Dragged Through the Garden because it's got a lot of vegetables on it. So the Chicago dog in itself is unique. It is specific to Chicago. So moving down here, when they weren't available, and even starting my business, a lot of people haven't heard of it. So you entice people to try them, and a lot of people are coming back and enjoy them. And of course, we've got a lot of transplants in this area. So I have Chicago natives and even people from New England and Jersey and stuff like that who are following me around town because they can't find a good Chicago dog anywhere else. So, and it's starting to come into play. There's several restaurants now that do it, and there's a couple that do it right.
Yep.
But it is a unique product, and I jokingly say to my Southern patrons that it'll change your life. I know we're all used to red dogs down here and coleslaw and chili.
It's not the red dogs that we're used to. It does have more garden, more veg on it. But folks, delicious. I encourage you to give it a try. Might seem a little odd when you think of a hot dog at first if you are from the South, but definitely delicious. And I do encourage you to give Chicago J Hot Dog a try, the Chicago dog. Not the only variety that you have. You do have other varieties.
Correct. So I actually, carry a lot of things. I have bratwurst. I have bright leafs. I do carry those. I support, local brands out of Smithfield, and I know that they have a huge following and people are very loyal to that brand. I also carry veggie dogs. They're vegan and soybean and pea protein based. And I did a lot of taste testing on veggie dogs before I, committed to a product. And my veggie customers are actually pretty impressed and blown away with the taste and quality of it. So I got your beef dogs and the Vienna beef and bright leaf reds and bratwurst and veggie dogs.
And now all of the fast food chains are following suit, doing their Veggie Burger spinoffs.
Yep, absolutely. And it's important around here. I mean, you've got run clubs where people go to a brewery on a Monday night. They run 7 or 8 miles, and then they go back and they have a beer. But they're also vegetarian and vegans, and they're health-conscious people. And when you think of a hot dog stand, you don't necessarily think of everything being healthy for you, but a little bit of coleslaw and a fresh tomato and a pickle spear and, maybe some banana peppers or something. I even carry vegetarian style chili that has beans in it. So you can get a good party veggie hot dog with all the toppings. And I've got a lot of customers who come back just for that because I offer that as well.
So when quarantine lifts and things get back to normal, Chicago J Hot Dogs, you're expecting folks to see it out there on the streets and hope they come and find you. You're gonna get back out there as soon as you can.
Absolutely. And I have, I do travel around, obviously that's part of the business, but I live here locally. I'm in the area. I prefer to stay close to home, less travel time and moving around. So my home base is right up the road at Oakland Springs Brewery. I'm typically there every Wednesday night, right there off Main Street in Fuquay. So during this quarantine, we're doing kind of some pop-up events with them. I am there this week on Thursday, and you can do online ordering for hot dogs, and you can also do online ordering for beers. They can send you home with a big 32-ounce crowler, and they also offer delivery on Thursdays. So if you order beer and order hot dogs online, but you put in the notes that you want your hot dogs to be sent with your beer order, we'll deliver hot dogs up until 6 o'clock on Thursday as well. But Oakland Springs Brewery is my home base. I'm typically there every Wednesday night once this lifts, and that will be the same schedule and routine. And also, with Fuquay, I was over at Revelry Barbershop a couple of times, and I like the downtown area. And I'm working to be established in there and be downtown at least a couple days a week once all of this lifts as well. So
Well, let's talk about that for a moment. I mean, with Oakland Springs, with Revelry, and there's many other breweries and establishments and bars, and I've seen you at a couple other locations as well. What has it meant for you to be part of the fabric of this local community and to make those kind of connections with other small and local and independent business owners right here in town?
Fuquay does an amazing job. You have the chamber who's highly involved. You have the downtown association that's really involved. So um, as I've been getting intertwined with some of these local business owners, you realize the network and how closely the fabric is tightly wound and knit. I mean, you see when you go to Pints and get your ice cream, you're going to bump into two other business owners who are from the mill or from Revelry or where they do a great job across the board. Everybody's supporting each other. Mason Jar during this time has done a great job of scheduling online events, and it's just, I'm blown away on how closely knit the town of Fuquay is in general, but also the entrepreneurship and local support. When I go into some of these other towns, they don't have such a strong small business, locally owned presence. And, Fuquay does a great job of that. And we do a good job of supporting each other and talking each other up. I mean,
Yeah.
Basic marketing skills and advertising is word of mouth. And, you get 10 good referrals, but you have one bad referral and that screws everything up. And Fuquay does a really good job, and all of our local business owners do a great job of promoting each other and supporting each other and recommending and giving referrals. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for my local referrals. I didn't get into Revelry Barbershop by walking in and beating down his door. I bumped into him at Oakland Springs one day, and it was through a friend of a friend that introduced me, and after you get that recommendation and that referral, people are like, all right, let's try it out. So the community here is awesome when it comes to that. Even back home, I lived an hour out of Chicago. The Small Business Network wasn't nothing like that. It was everybody fend for themselves and only the strong survive. And in this area, people help each other out. I mean, I've got a buddy who owns an appliance company, and when he was getting started, other appliance repair people were giving him overflow business and helping him out and introducing him to different seminars and trainings to go to. And, typically, even in the food truck community, I've had a lot of help, just little things on how to make your business flow better and how to market your business better. And I got all that support and all those tidbits from local business owners. It wasn't because I opened a book and got on a webinar and did a podcast to teach myself how to market Facebook. I've had help from other business owners in the area. So I think that it's great that we, one, help each other become better and challenge each other to get better. So it's awesome, the things that are going on here in this little pocket of North Carolina that we have.
Well, we still call it little. It is a quickly growing area, obviously, but we still, I think that the qualities that you just discussed there have been able to maintain that small town feel. And it's the tight-knit community. It's the help and the assistance that we still lend to our neighbors that makes Fuquay-Varina so unique. Although the quick growth for us small businesses has helped as well. Although maybe the traffic on the street at times we don't appreciate it as much, but the population growth here certainly has helped give small businesses a boost as well.
Absolutely.
Well, Jason Rewerts of Chicago J Hotdogs, a local Fuquay-Varina owned business right here in town. He's mobile, folks. He can come to your event if you're you're hosting an event, or if you have an establishment that you'd like to have a food truck type feel, a hot dog stand, real authentic Chicago dogs, as well as all of the variety of hot dogs that are the favorites, even vegan and vegetarian options out there. You're right. You don't think about that, Jason, when you think about hot dogs.
Talking about events, I mean, I do birthday parties and graduation parties and stuff like that, and I do all the setup, I do all the service, and I do all the cleanup. You don't have to even provide napkins or paper plates. I bring all that stuff. So
definitely a benefit for you guys throwing parties out there. The headache of the cleanup is maybe what keeps you from throwing a few parties here.
Yep.
But Jason, I definitely appreciate you joining me, spending some time here. I know this is a challenging time. All of us here in Fuquay-Varina are looking forward to being able to blow the doors off, get back open, full steam ahead. We're doing it safely and with moderation right now, doing what we can to keep everybody, ourselves and our patrons safe. But while we had a little bit of downtime, thought it would be a good idea to let folks know a little bit about you and your business here on the Dashtown podcast. And if you would tell people where they can find out more, or where they can go to contact Chicago J Hotdogs.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Facebook and Instagram, it's Chicago J Hotdogs, just the letter J. And my menu is available at both of those locations. And even if you're on Street Food Finder, it's a really cool app where you can select your area and it'll show you all the food trucks that are currently open and serving in the area. But through Street Food Finder, you can place online orders. So for my Thursday event, you can order food today and set your order up ahead of time. So you can show up at 5 o'clock on Thursday and your food will be ready when you get there. So Chicago J Hotdogs on Facebook and Instagram and Street Food Finder. And those are my social media outlets and my main source of marketing myself right now.
All right. Streetfoodfinder.com to place your orders, find out more. Go like and follow on your social media platforms at Chicago J Hotdogs. And it is just the letter J, Chicago, the letter J Hotdogs, Chicago
Yes,
J
sir.
Hotdogs. Jason Rewerts of Chicago J Hotdogs, owner, operator, local Fuquay business here with me. Jason, appreciate the time. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Peter. I appreciate it as well, buddy.
All right. Dashtown, it's a podcast series, ladies and gentlemen, about the businesses by and for the people of Fuquay-Varina, and Chicago J Hotdogs here is our guest today. We appreciate the time and look forward to talking with you, and I'm sure Jason looks forward to seeing you real soon. Take care.
Sure. All right. Thanks, buddy.